Welcome to the Iowa State Capitol Virtual Tour Project. Today, we're going to talk about Iowa's 7 capitals and 4 capital cities. Iowa was originally part of the Louisiana Purchase, sold to the U.S. in 1803. What would become the state of Iowa was then included in the Missouri Territory, the Michigan Territory, the Wisconsin Territory, before becoming the Territory of Iowa, and finally the state of Iowa in 1846. The Black Hawk Purchase, seen here in yellow, opened the eastern edge of Iowa for settlement. The southern portion was designated as Des Moines County, and the northern area Dubuque County. This designation existed during the time Iowa was part of the Michigan Territory. In 1836, Iowa's population was found near the Mississippi River, and the southeastern area of Iowa held most of the inhabitants. As Michigan organized and became a state, the area that would become the Wisconsin Territory consisted of 6 counties. The majority of the population lay in those 2 counties, Des Moines and Dubuque, west of the Mississippi in Iowa. The final Michigan territorial legislature, commonly known as the Rump Council, consisted only of members from the 6 counties that made up what would become the Wisconsin Territory. The Rump Council met in Green Bay, Wisconsin in January of 1836. Jeremiah Smith from Des Moines County was a member of the Michigan territorial legislature and attended that session. This was about a 370-mile trip in the upper Midwest in January. The first Wisconsin territorial legislature met at Belmont, Wisconsin in October of 1836. Jeremiah Smith, a member of the council, or as we would say today, the Senate, attended that session as well. This was only a 165-mile trip. The Wisconsin territorial legislature needed to establish a permanent capital city. Madison, Wisconsin was the favorite location, but a suitable building would take time to build. So Jeremiah Smith convinced the legislative members that he could provide a suitable structure in Burlington on the west side of the Mississippi, and Burlington could be the capital city of the Wisconsin Territory until March 4th, 1839. Unless a building was completed sooner in the city of Madison. The second legislative session of the Wisconsin Territorial Legislature met in Burlington. Jeremiah Smith erected a building on Water Street fronting the river during the summer of 1837. This was a 2-story frame, 40 by 70-foot building. The second session of the Wisconsin Territorial Legislature met in the Jeremiah Smith Capitol in November of 1837. December 12th of that year, the building caught fire and was destroyed. To finish the legislative session, the Council, or the Senate, and the House of Representatives used other available space in existing structures in the city of Burlington. July 4th, 1838, Iowa became a territory. The territory of Iowa consisted of portions of North and South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa, the area you see here in green. Burlington remained the capital city. The first session of the Iowa Territorial Legislature convened November 12, 1838, and used the Zion Church in Burlington. This building was shared, acting both as a capitol and a Methodist Episcopal church. The territory of Iowa wasted no time in establishing a permanent capital city. The territorial government created Iowa City as a more central location to build a capital. Iowa City was platted and work began on a permanent and suitable building. The Iowa City Capitol was designed by architect John Francis Ragu and built of limestone from the quarry nearby. Construction continued at a slow pace, and the legislature continued in cramped rented quarters in the Zion Church in Burlington. The territorial government paid the church trustees a total of $2,350 for the use of their building through 3 regular sessions and 1 special session. By 1841, the legislature pressed to move into their new building. Walter Butler, an Iowa City businessman, agreed to erect a wooden structure near his hotel for the legislature so they could move to the capital city. The 4th Territorial Legislative Assembly convened in Iowa City on December 6, 1841, in this small wooden structure, 30 by 60 feet, that would become known as the Butler Capitol. In 1842, the 5th Legislative Assembly moved into the new building in Iowa City. Construction continued on this building for some time. The constitutional conventions to establish Iowa as a state were held in the Iowa City Capitol in 1844 and 1846. The Constitution of 1846 was ratified and Iowa became a state, December 28, 1846. January 25, 1855, an act to relocate the seat of government at Des Moines passed the legislature. But before they moved, one more constitutional convention was held in Iowa City in 1857. The old stone capitol would be completed just in time to move to Des Moines into once again a temporary building built on land donated by Wilson Alexander Scott and Harrison Lyon and paid for by Scott and other private citizens. Their generosity was an incentive to establish the seat of government on the east side of the Des Moines River. The brick capitol in Des Moines was first used by the 7th General Assembly, which convened January 11, 1858. This brick building, 56 by 100 feet, was built as a 3-story structure. This building was designed by Amos Fassett. To enlarge the building, a story was added underneath. The structure served as the Capitol until January of 1884, when the 20th General Assembly convened for the first time in the building we know today as the state capitol of Iowa. Construction began on our present-day Capitol in August of 1871. We laid the cornerstone that November, but construction slowed when the first foundation crumbled. The limestone foundation blocks contained moisture, and the cold temperatures in the winter caused the stone to freeze. All but 5 of the foundation stones were removed and replaced. The cornerstone was relaid in September of 1873. The legislature watched the construction of the new Capitol from the old brick Capitol directly across the street. The first story or office story was finished in about 1875. Then the second floor, where the House and Senate chambers would be located, was completed in 1878. The construction of the dome in 1880 and 1881 would nearly complete the exterior. The Capitol was dedicated January 17, 1884. The legislature moved in that day. The executive offices were occupied in 1885, and judicial offices moved in 1886. The final report to the governor in June of that year showed the building had been constructed for nearly $2,900,000. Jeremiah Smith, Walter Butler, and Wilson Alexander Scott are not names we recognize, but because they provided Capitol buildings at their own expense, they literally built the seat of government for the Wisconsin Territory, the Iowa Territory, and the state of Iowa. By erecting a Capitol building in the center of the state, by investing in a structure that is estimated to last for 1,000 years, and by ratifying the 1857 Constitution that established Des Moines as the seat of government, it seems safe to say the current Capitol is the permanent capital of Iowa.